The sound of the engine still haunted Lucas even after 3 years. It didn't matter where he was. He only had to close his eyes and he could hear the roar, the scream of the tires, the dry impact of metal against concrete. The night it all ended hadn't been left behind. It had only learned to wait. Lucas lived far from the city, repairing old boat engines in a forgotten shipyard. Hands dirty with grease, head down, zero questions. That's how he paid the invisible debt he carried in his chest. Until a black car appeared. No license plate. Tinted windows. Engine too powerful for that place. The man who got out smiled as if he already knew the end of the story. "Still driving like before?" he asked. Lucas didn't answer. "Because your brother is racing," the stranger continued. "And he won't survive the next race." The brother's name hit him like a punch. Raphael. The boy he had promised to protect the day he swore he would never race again. "You're lying," Lucas said. The man threw a tablet onto the hood. A video began to play. A night race. Neon lights. Shouts. A red car entering a corner too late. Lucas recognized the steering wheel. He recognized his mistake. "This championship doesn't accept withdrawals," the man said. "Whoever quits pays the price another way." "Why are you telling me this?" Lucas asked, feeling his heart race for the first time in years. The man shrugged. "Because the organizer wants you back. They say there's only one driver capable of beating him." The wind carried the smell of fuel. Lucas closed his eyes. The image of his dead friend on the track returned in full. "If I come back," he said, "I won't race to win." The man smiled. "Everyone races to survive." The black car drove away. Lucas stood alone, staring at his own hands. They were still trembling. That night he understood one thing. The road never forgets those who try to escape it. Lucas returned home without noticing the way. The workshop was behind him, the shipyard disappeared in the rearview mirror, and when he realized it, he was standing in front of the old family garage. Rusty gate. It seemed smaller than in his memories. Or perhaps he had grown in guilt. He pushed the door open. The smell came first. Oil, burnt rubber, hot metal. Everything exactly as before. In the center, covered by a gray tarp, was the car he had sworn never to touch again. He pulled the tarp back slowly. The metallic blue still gleamed under the dust. Each scratch told a story. Each curve recalled a mistake. "You're still alive," he murmured. His cell phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. "If you want to save your brother, come tonight." Location attached. Lucas closed his eyes for a second. Then he opened the hood. Hours later, the city swallowed the night. Neon lights reflected on the wet asphalt. Abandoned warehouses came alive like racing hearts. Lucas parked far away and continued on foot. The sounds betrayed everything. Overtuned engines, shouted bets, nervous laughter. A crowd surrounded an improvised track between containers. Was there? "Look who's back from the dead," said a familiar voice. Diego. Former mechanic. Former friend. Former everything. "I thought you'd become a ghost," Diego continued, smiling. "Or a coward." Lucas didn't answer. "Your brother races well," Diego said, pointing to the track. "But here talent isn't enough. Here the track demands it." Lucas saw Raphael for the first time in years. Thinner. Harder. His eyes filled with that hunger he knew all too well. "He doesn't know," Lucas said. "He doesn't know what this does to you." "Nobody knows," Diego replied. "Until they lose someone." A roar cut through the air. The organizer appeared. Tall. Elegant. Too calm. "Lucas Mendez," he said, a slow smile spreading across his face. "The legend who bled on my track." A heavy silence fell. "You don't race here anymore," Lucas replied. "Yes you do," the man said. "Because I decide who races, and who stops." He leaned in. "Tomorrow night. One race. If you win, your brother is out. If you lose." The man shrugged. "The road chooses." Lucas felt the old chill run down his spine. He looked at Raphael. And he knew. The oath was broken. And the race had begun again. The following night fell heavily on the city. There were no stars. Only smoke, artificial lights, and the smell of danger in the air. Lucas was inside the blue car, hands firmly on the steering wheel, heart racing. It had been 3 years since he'd raced. 3 years trying to believe it was possible to live without the road. The radio crackled. "Simple rules," said the organizer's voice. 3 laps. No shortcuts. No mercy. Lucas looked around. Cars lined up. Engines roaring like trapped beasts. Gamblers shouting numbers worth more than money. In the other car, Raphael avoided looking at him. Green light in 3, 2. Lucas took a deep breath. The face of his dead friend flashed through his mind. 1. The ground exploded. The car sped off. The shots rang out. Lucas felt his body pressed against the seat, the engine responding as if it had never been abandoned. The first corner came too fast. He braked late, felt the rear end slip, corrected at the limit. It still remembers, he murmured. On the second lap, chaos took over. One car spun, another crashed into a container. Sparks flew. The crowd roared louder. Raphael sped forward recklessly, trying to prove something no one asked for. "Don't do that," Lucas whispered. On the final corner, a black car deliberately cut Lucas off. The steering wheel jerked. The world spun. For a second, everything was silent. He saw it again. The old accident. The impact. His friend's motionless body on the asphalt. Lucas screamed. He floored it. The car responded instinctively, escaping the concrete wall by centimeters. He crossed the line in second place. He lost. The organizer clapped slowly. "Not bad for a broken man," he said. "But here, second place is just another way to lose." Raphael stopped the car and got out furiously. "I almost won," he shouted. "I can do this." Lucas grabbed his brother's arm. "You don't understand. This track is deadly." The organizer approached. "Tomorrow," he said, "the race is just between the two of you." Silence fell like a sentence. "Blood against blood," he finished. "Whoever wins stays. Whoever loses, disappears." Lucas slowly released Raphael. He had come back to save his brother. But now the road demanded something worse. That one of them be left behind. The silence inside the makeshift garage was more deafening than any engine. Lucas sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, while Raphael paced back and forth, his fists clenched. His younger brother's anger burned aimlessly. "You always disappear," Raphael snapped. "You disappear when I need you most." Lucas slowly looked up. "I disappeared because I killed someone on that track." The sentence landed heavily. Raphael stopped. "It wasn't your fault." "It was," Lucas replied. "I accelerated when I should have braked." The organizer watched from the doorway, invisible as a patient shadow. "The city loves stories of brothers," he said. "Even more so when only one can win." Lucas stood up. "You're not going to pit him against me." The man smiled. "I already did." He entered of his own accord. Raphael turned to Lucas. "I don't need you to save me," he said. "I need you to trust me." Lucas felt the blow. That was where everything broke. "Tomorrow," the organizer continued, "the track will be long. No audience. No bets. Just you and the asphalt." He walked away, leaving the weight of the decision hanging in the air. Later, Lucas found Diego near the pits. "This race isn't about winning," Diego said quietly. "It's about control." "Then I'll end it," Lucas replied. Diego shook his head. "It doesn't work like that. Whoever tries to stop, pays a higher price." That night, Lucas didn't sleep. He sat in the blue car, hands on the steering wheel, remembering when he taught Raphael to drive in an empty parking lot. The nervous laughter. The pride. "I won't lose you," he whispered. Dawn arrived too quickly. The track was an old road, off the map, surrounded by concrete walls and shadows. No exits. No ambulances. Raphael stopped beside Lucas at the starting line. "Be who you were," he said. "Not who guilt made you." The makeshift traffic light turned red. Lucas closed his eyes for a second. Not to pray. To decide. The red light flashed. Turned green. And two brothers accelerated toward the point where only one should arrive intact. The green still burned in Lucas's eyes as the car leaped forward. There was no audience. No shouts. Only the raw sound of the engines tearing through the silence of the forgotten road. The asphalt was uneven, old, full of patches, a track made for mistakes. Raphael started aggressively, as if he wanted to leave the past behind in a second. Lucas held back. He knew that road. He knew where it lied. First curve. Long blind. Raphael entered too fast. "No," Lucas murmured. He slowed down, let the car float, and exited cleanly. Raphael escaped the wall by centimeters, correcting on instinct. Pure pride. Brutal luck. On the second straight, the organizer spoke over the radio. "Beautiful to see. Two bloods, one destiny." Lucas turned off the radio. He wouldn't drive listening to the voices of those who profited from death. The road began to climb. Low fog. Visibility almost zero. Raphael's taillights were the only reference point. Lucas remembered his dead friend. The same fog. The same climb. His heart raced. The third curve came hidden. Raphael braked too late. The car spun halfway. Time stopped. Lucas saw everything in slow motion. His brother's car crossing the lane, the wall approaching, the mistake about to be repeated. He could pass. He just had to accelerate. Lucas stepped on the brake. Turned the steering wheel. He collided sideways with Raphael's car, pushing it away from the wall. Metal against metal. A sharp impact that threw Lucas's car against the guardrail. The world exploded in smoke. Silence. Lucas opened his eyes with difficulty. Blood trickled down his forehead. The car was dead. Pain throughout his body. He staggered out. Raphael was conscious. Scared. Alive. Why did you do this? Raphael asked, his voice broken. Lucas took a deep breath. Because this race isn't worth a life. Headlights appeared high above the road. Black cars. The organizers slowly descended, applauding. Interesting, he said. You lost, but you ruined the game. Lucas smiled even while bleeding. That was the plan. The organizers stared at the two brothers. Do you think you can just stop? The wind blew strongly. Lucas positioned himself in front of Raphael. Today, yes. But the road hadn't yet had its last word. The organizer didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He just smiled. And that was worse. You ruined an expensive show, he said, looking at the wrecked cars. Here, those who break the rules pay with interest. Lucas felt the cold wind mix with the smell of leaking fuel. The blue car wouldn't start. Raphael still coughed, wounded but alive. Get in, Lucas ordered. Raphael hesitated. Now. Raphael obeyed. The engine responded with a groan, but it started. Lucas pushed the car as the black headlights began to move around them, closing off invisible exits. They're going to hunt us down, Raphael said, his voice trembling. I know, Lucas replied, getting into the passenger seat. And it won't end today. The car sped off. The road suddenly narrowed as if the world were conspiring against him. In the rearview mirror, two black cars pulled up alongside him. A third appeared ahead, forcing Raphael to swerve onto the shoulder. They don't want to kill us now, Lucas analyzed. They want to break us. A shot shattered the rear window. Raphael screamed. Hold the wheel. Lucas yelled back. The chase lasted for miles that felt like hours. Every curve hid an ambush. Every straight stretch promised a final impact. Until Lucas saw the exit. Left, he pointed. Raphael turned without thinking. The car jumped onto a dirt access road, plunged down a short embankment, and disappeared among the trees. The black cars drove straight past. Silence. Raphael pulled over, trembling. I can't take it anymore, he said. Lucas took a deep breath. His body ached. His soul even more so. Listen, Lucas said firmly. This isn't just about racing. It's a network. Powerful people. If we keep running, they win. So what do we do? Lucas looked at the cracked dashboard, the worn steering wheel, his own hands. We expose everything. Raphael laughed nervously. How? Lucas pulled out his cell phone. The screen still showed car data, old recordings, internal cameras that had never been turned off. Because they forget one thing, Lucas said. Every car listens. Every engine stores memory. A distant headlight appeared between the trees. Lucas turned off his cell phone. They're still close. Raphael swallowed hard. And now? Lucas opened the door. Now, we stop running. And start fighting. They walked for almost an hour into the woods, far from the road, far from the headlights. The car was hidden under branches and mud, invisible to anyone searching only with their eyes, not with patience. Lucas knew that place. Here, he said, pointing. Here, Lucas said, pointing to a low, bare concrete building hidden among tall trees. This is where it all began. Raphael frowned. That's just an abandoned house. No, Lucas replied. It's where they watch. The door was unlocked as if no one ever thought of break-ins. Inside the air was too cold. There were no windows. Just thick walls and a corridor lit by old lamps. At the back the room. Monitors covered the entire wall. Roads, curves, tunnels, bridges, makeshift tracks. Cameras that shouldn't exist. Raphael felt his stomach churn. They see everything. Lucas nodded. Every race, every mistake, every death. He approached a central panel. He recognized the system. It was older than he'd imagined. This didn't start as betting, Lucas said. It started as control. Tess, who can withstand pressure. Who obeys orders without questioning. Raphael swallowed hard. So nobody ever really won. No, Lucas replied. They just survived longer. A metallic sound echoed behind them. The door closing. The organizer's voice filled the room, calm, clear, amplified. You were always too smart to run silently, Lucas. The lights came on completely. The organizer was there, leaning against the wall, hands in his pockets as if he were at home. I knew you'd come back, he continued. This house always calls to those who try to escape. Lucas put Raphael behind him. This ends today. The man smiled. No. Today you understand how it works. He pressed a button. The monitors zoomed in on an image of a familiar track. The same one where Lucas's friend had died years before. That night, the organizer said, wasn't an accident. The ground seemed to disappear beneath Lucas's feet. We needed an example. Raphael squeezed his brother's arm. You see, the man continued, people believe they race for money, fame, adrenaline. But they race because we let them. Lucas felt something different rise in his chest. It wasn't fear. It was clarity. You made a mistake, Lucas said. The organizer raised an eyebrow. What? Lucas pointed to the monitors. You brought me back. The alarm suddenly sounded. Red lights began flashing. The organizer's smile faltered for the first time. What did you do? Lucas showed his cell phone. While you were talking, all of this was being broadcast. A heavy silence fell. Outside, sirens began to echo in the distance. And, for the first time, the windowless house could no longer hide what was happening inside. The organizer regained control too quickly for someone cornered. He took a deep breath, adjusted his jacket, and smiled again, a colder, more dangerous smile. Do you think sirens change anything? He said. This broadcast won't last 5 minutes. Lucas felt his cell phone vibrate. Unstable signal. Imminent crash. 5 minutes is enough, he replied. When the truth starts to come out, nobody can stop it. Raphael watched the monitors in shock. He saw familiar faces. Pilots who had disappeared. Others who swore they had won championships. They lied to everyone. He murmured. We lied, the organizer corrected. The world prefers quick lies to slow truths. He approached Lucas. You were always too good for this, he said softly. You could have been one of us. And wake up every day knowing I chose who dies? Lucas replied. No. The alarm grew louder. Internal doors began to close on their own. You're not getting out of here, the organizer said. Even if the world sees, no one will hear you again. Lucas pulled Raphael by the arm. Now. They ran down the narrow corridor as lights went out behind them. A gunshot shattered the wall, scattering concrete into the air. Lucas felt the impact on his shoulder but didn't stop. The emergency exit appeared ahead. Lucas pushed it open with all his might. Night swallowed them. They ran into the woods aimlessly until their lungs burned. They only stopped when silence returned. Raphael fell to his knees. Is this really over? He asked, breathless. Lucas looked at the dark sky, at the trees, at nothing. No, he replied. Now they're going to hunt us down with everything they've got. His cell phone vibrated once more. Last notification before the signal dropped. Video saved. Mirrored. Shared. Lucas closed his eyes. But now, the world knows. And when the world knows, the road changes hands. The road dawned restless. Cell phones vibrated inside cars stopped at traffic lights. Short videos popped up on social media, cut, shaky but clear enough to cause panic. Hidden cameras. Cold orders. Deaths treated as statistics. Lucas and Raphael watched everything from inside an abandoned warehouse, using an old laptop powered by an improvised battery. It's already past 1 million views, Raphael said, incredulous. In less than an hour. Lucas didn't smile. This isn't victory. It's exposure. Outside, helicopters crisscrossed the low sky. Sirens ebbed and flowed like waves. But it wasn't just authorities. Black cars also moved, discreetly, without haste. They'll try to paint us as liars, Raphael said. Or as criminals. They always do that, Lucas replied. It's their last trick. A message appeared on the screen. Hidden number. You have crossed an irreversible line. Lucas erased it without replying. Do they know where we are? Raphael asked. Lucas looked around. Not yet. But they will know. The warehouse shook with a distant rumble. A nearby storage facility was on fire. A warning. They're cleaning up their tracks, Lucas said. Burning files, silencing people. Raphael took a deep breath. Then we run. Lucas shook his head. No more. He opened a folder on his computer. Maps. Routes. Transmission locations. If the road is their stage, we change the stage. In the distance, tires screeched. A car stopped too close. Lucas closed his laptop. Time to leave. They got into an ordinary car without drawing attention. No loud engine noise. No neon lights. Just anonymity. While they drove, local radio stations began to talk about the scandal. Words like investigation, illegal races, international network. Can you hear that? Raphael asked. They're talking about it. Lucas kept his eyes on the road. They are listening. It's different. A black car appeared in the rearview mirror. Then another. They haven't given up, Raphael said. Lucas gripped the steering wheel. Neither have they. He turned sharply. And onto an elevated road. Traffic closed in behind them. A calculated chaos. If they want to catch us, Lucas said, it'll be in broad daylight. The car accelerated. Not to escape, but to show the world that that race now had witnesses. The overpass was packed. Cars stopped, horns blaring in the air, people outside their vehicles looking at their cell phones, at the sky, at nothing. The urban chaos had become an audience. Lucas stopped the car in the middle of the lane. Have you gone crazy? Raphael asked. No, Lucas replied. I'm tired of hiding. He got out of the car slowly. The wind blew strongly at the top of the overpass. People were filming. Some shouted for him to come back. Others just watched, trapped in that strange moment when the city seemed to hold its breath. Raphael got out right behind him. Lucas, the black cars. I know. They were already coming from both sides of the track. Not at high speed. They didn't need to anymore. They had power, influence, time. Lucas climbed onto the guardrail. Hey, he shouted. Pay attention. Some cell phones turned to him. Others continued pointing at the jammed traffic, at the approaching black cars. These races aren't about adrenaline, Lucas continued. They're about control. About powerful people deciding who lives and who becomes a statistic. A man in a suit got out of one of the black cars. You're making a serious mistake, he said, amplifying his voice with a portable microphone. Step away now. Lucas laughed humorlessly. That was the same speech used years ago, he said. Before they killed my friend. Before they turned drivers into numbers. Raphael opened his cell phone and started a live stream. If they take down this video, he said, there are already copies spread around. A murmur ran through the crowd. The man in the suit clenched his jaw. You don't understand who you're messing with. Yes, we do, Lucas replied. And that's why we stopped here. Sirens echoed in the distance. This time many. Traffic officers, regular patrol cars, and others without markings. The man took a step back. Get off the road now, he ordered. Lucas climbed down from the guardrail. Not until everyone knows, he said. Not until this is over. A truck driver honked loudly. Then another. Drivers began to turn off their cars. The road for the first time didn't obey. The man in the suit looked around. He realized too late. The road had changed sides. Lucas returned to the car and looked at Raphael. They can't speed when nobody moves. Raphael nodded. And now? Lucas started the engine. Now, they're going to try one last move. In the rearview mirror, one of the black cars accelerated. Not to escape, but to force the end. The black car surged forward like a wounded animal. There was no more strategy. No disguise. It was brute force trying to regain control that slipped through their fingers. Hold on. Lucas shouted. Raphael turned the steering wheel at the last second. The impact grazed, sending sparks flying from the guardrail. People screamed. Cell phones trembled. The live stream exploded with comments. The black car didn't stop. It came again. They can't kill us here, Raphael said, breathless. Not with everyone watching. They can try, Lucas replied. That's what desperate people do. Lucas picked up his cell phone and activated the speakerphone. A number he had kept for years, hoping he would never use it. He called once. Twice. He answered. I knew you were going to call, said the voice on the other end. It's happening now, Lucas said. Everything. I saw it, Diego replied. The whole city is watching. The black car hit them sideways. The impact threw their vehicle into the center lane. Airbags didn't deploy. The car barely held on. The police are coming, Diego continued. But there are big shots trying to block them. Lucas took a deep breath. So it's not about escaping, he said. It's about buying time. He looked ahead. The road opened into 3 elevated exits. One old, almost forgotten. Poorly signposted. Rarely used. Trust me, Lucas said. Raphael didn't ask. He turned. The car went up the forgotten exit, shaking all over. The asphalt was old, cracked, uneven. One mistake there meant free fall. This road? Raphael began. It was closed after an accident, Lucas finished. My friend died here. The black car hesitated for a second. Then it came. They never learn, Lucas murmured. The road narrowed until it was almost a bridge. No shoulder. No protection. Lucas opened the door of the moving car. What are you doing? Raphael shouted. Ending this. Lucas climbed onto the seat, leaned against the roof, the wind almost knocking him over. Ahead, the black car accelerated to pull alongside. Lucas raised his cell phone. You're live, he said, shouting to the wind. And now the world will see who you really are. The black car braked sharply. Not out of fear, but out of calculation. Lucas smiled. They had arrived at the P. A place where even speed couldn't solve anything anymore. And the road was about to exact its toll. The silence that followed was more terrifying than the roar of the engines. The two cars stopped on the narrow road, suspended in the void, looked like forgotten pieces on a broken chessboard. The wind howled between the old structures, making the metal groan as if the road itself wanted to collapse. Lucas slowly climbed down from the roof of the car. The door of the other vehicle opened. It wasn't a henchman who got out. It was Enrique. Raphael felt his stomach sink. So it was you, he murmured. Enrique adjusted his expensive coat, completely out of place in that setting. His face was too calm. The kind of calm of someone who always bought happy endings. I told you this would end badly, he said, looking at Lucas. You always confused courage with defiance. Lucas laughed short. And you always confused power with impunity. Enrique took 2 steps forward. Behind him, 2 men got out of the black car, hands near their waists. Do you really think this broadcast changes anything? Enrique asked. The world gets distracted easily. Lucas raised his cell phone again. Maybe. But evidence doesn't get distracted. Raphael swallowed hard. What evidence? He asked. Lucas took a deep breath. The falsified contracts, the rigged races, the accidental deaths, including Diego's father's. Enrique froze for a second. It was brief, but enough. You spent years destroying people, Lucas continued. Gamblers, drivers, mechanics. When someone became a problem, you accelerated on them. Enrique smiled, but his smile trembled. And you think that makes you better? Using the same circus? Likes views? No, Lucas replied. It just makes me the last one you couldn't silence. Sirens blared in the distance. Enrique looked at the sky, irritated. If I fall, he said, you fall with me. He made an almost imperceptible gesture. One of the men stepped forward. Raphael threw himself in front of Lucas without thinking. The push came hard. The ground gave way. Raphael slipped, half his body dangling over the void. His fingers gripped the corroded edge of the bridge. Rafa! Lucas shouted. Enrique watched, impassive. Is this what you call justice? He taunted. A stumble? Lucas ran, grabbing Raphael's arm tightly. The metal creaked. Let go of the phone. Raphael shouted. You're going to fall. I won't let go, Lucas replied through clenched teeth. Not today. The sirens were closer. Very close. Enrique took a step back. Another. For the first time there was fear in his eyes. This isn't over yet, he growled. It is, Lucas said. Because now you're not running anymore. The men hurriedly got into the car. The engine roared. The car made an awkward U-turn and sped down the old road, disappearing into the fog. Lucas pulled Raphael up at the last second. They both fell onto the asphalt, breathless. Raphael laughed nervously. We almost died. Lucas looked at his cell phone, still transmitting. No, he said. We almost lived in silence. Dawn arrived slowly. The pale sunlight revealed what the night had hidden. The cracked bridge, the abandoned cars, the tire tracks burned like scars on the asphalt. The police surrounded the area. Cameras, questions, overlapping voices. But Lucas could barely hear. He sat on the curb, his hands trembling, gazing at the horizon. Raphael approached with 2 cups of hot coffee. The stream has already surpassed 3 million views, he said softly. And it keeps climbing. Lucas didn't smile. Views don't bring anyone back. Raphael nodded. But they prevent others from dying. The silence between them was no longer heavy. It was different. As if something had finally stopped running. Hours later, the news spread. Enrique had been arrested while trying to leave the country. The leaked evidence left no room for deals. For the first time, the illegal racing empire had nowhere to run. Lucas watched everything on his phone screen. He turned it off. He put it in his pocket. What are you going to do now? Raphael asked. Lucas thought about the question longer than he would have liked. For years he had only known how to accelerate, to run away, betting one's own life as if that were courage. I'll stay, he replied. At least for a while. Raphael raised an eyebrow. Stay. Teach, Lucas finished. Too many people think speed solves everything. Someone needs to show them where that ends. Days later, on an abandoned track far from the betting and dirty money, Lucas stood before a small group of young people. Attentive eyes. Dreams too big to fit in the real world. You think winning is about arriving first, he said. I thought so too. Some laughed. But the truth is different, he continued. Winning is knowing when to stop. When not to cross a line of no return. He looked at the car stopped behind him. The same one that had taken him to the limit. The same one that almost killed him. The road will always call, he concluded. The difference is whether you will obey or choose the path. That night, Lucas drove slowly through the city. No bets. No audience. The radio played softly. At the traffic light he stopped. He smiled for the first time in a long time. Not because he had won, but because finally he was no longer running away. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and comment where you are watching from and which part impacted you the most. Because some stories aren't about speed. They're about having the courage to slow down,